Hi friends, Rusty back here, Central Florida Weather Live. Nice to see you on a Tuesday, 12:44. Tracking what's going to be a pretty active afternoon across Central Florida here. We've got an old frontal boundary kind of just sagging in and beginning to stall out. And that's going to provide us with multiple days of high rain and storm chances across the area. So appreciate you guys joining me here. Let me bring on our timestamp here so we just get an idea. So first thing we'll do is just kind of cover what's going on broadly, then get into it. I do want to note that we do have a special weather statement that is currently in effect for portions of Orange and Osceola County. Goes for the next 15 minutes here. Matter of fact, let me do just one thing real quickly here, guys. I'm going to bring on a little bit better mapping for here. There we go. So what we're watching right now is a fairly healthy storm that's tracking from west to east. It's as far north as the Turnpike and the 408 here in the western sides of Orange County. Places like Ocoee and Gotha and Orla Vista, Metro West, Windermere, Dr. Phillips being affected right now down towards Lake Buena Vista and on over towards Celebration. This is a fairly thin line, but again, special weather statement for winds of 40 miles an hour. Let's take a look at some of those winds. As a matter of fact, I'll bring on, first of all, the temperatures will pop on real quickly. Obviously, even at lunchtime, it got pretty darn hot with temperatures right around 90 degrees. And we have a 20-mile-an-hour gust at the Executive Airport, but note that there is another stout line of storms back into Lake and portions of Sumter, and then back into Pasco and Hernando counties as well. So again, tracking from west to east, I-4 is going to be wet. This is going to move right across OBT and JYP and head towards Buenaventura Lakes, downtown Orlando, Conway, Oak Ridge, all right now moving off to the east at around 25 miles an hour, okay? And again, the main threats, and you can see that the radar's picked that up, moving at around 26 here on my radar, but we're going to have some heavier downpours. We're going to have some good cloud to ground lightning. We're also going to have some decent wind gusts as well. We'll see if we get any severe thunderstorm warnings. I think we're marginal at best for that to happen, but these storms will begin to fill in as we go through the rest of the afternoon hours, and these will all push from inland areas towards the coast. So if you live in Flagler and Volusia and Brevard and Indian River counties, these storms are headed your way. These polygons that you see, that again is going to be the movement, right around east at about 25 miles an hour. Again, you guys have a specific question about the forecast, drop it in the comments section below. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hit that like button if you haven't already. So let's track what's going on right now. Non-severe storm, but we're starting to see it ramp up a bit. And by the way, it's very gloomy outside as well. Eustis, Mount Dora, Montverde, towards Claremont, some very heavy rain right now, 27. Mineola, Claremont areas here. So we'll see if the Weather Service tags on another special weather statement for this area. But that's a pretty rowdy storm right now. Mount Dora back towards Montverde and Claremont, including the Mascot area. And that line will just kind of continue to develop as it heads south and west, back down towards Dade City and Zephyr Hills and Land O'Lakes, and eventually just kind of pulling off towards the northern sides of both Hillsborough and Pinellas counties. What do you say we take a look at some of the cameras we got here? This is a live look to the, this is going to be the Disney World area here. And again, just kind of gray skies. We did have a little bit of rain pass by that area, but no wind associated with that one as of yet. And then let's go ahead and take a live look at Conway. This is the Conway area here. Beautiful shot looking across the lake. You can see some of those darker clouds building in. This is a very common sight right now through most of Central Florida, where we're going to have some heavier rain and storms continue to work their way across the area. And that area has really yet to see it, so we'll be monitoring that camera as it continues to work its way in. All right, back over. I'm just going to jump those real quick and come back on camera. And again, if you're just tuning in right now, we have a couple of lines of storms coming in. Now, there's a very weak frontal boundary, which is going to be basically stalling out. And I know it had been drier over the weekend and yesterday, thanks to actually Hurricane Ernesto, which sucked in a lot of the moisture off towards our east and pulled in a little bit drier air. We've had very rowdy storms north of us the last couple of days, and now that front has been able to work its way in. So this is going to be an active weather pattern for us through the weekend. High rain chances, we'll keep out for the opportunity of some stronger storms. And as I mentioned, the storm up here, I figured they might issue a special weather statement, and they did. So just issued right now, new special weather statement for this storm over the far, far northwest sides of Orange County, and then back into the northern sides of Lake County as well. Goes for the next 40 minutes. So that will be until 1:30. So let me bring up that. And again, my computer sometimes can outrun even the websites. So again, strong thunderstorm, western Seminole, southeastern Lake, northwestern Orange, and even central Volusia County. So this kind of slivers through 4 different counties here just north of downtown Orlando. Moving off to the east at 20, wind gusts of 40 miles an hour. So right now, the main threat is going to be some wind. And again, you can see in our storm track here, we have a little bit of a northeast movement. My radar wants to put on a very small chance for tiny, tiny hail. I'll monitor that situation. Weather Service is not discussing that. It's just about the winds right now. But places like Orlando, Sanford, Apopka, Altamont Springs, and Ocoee all impacted. So you really do have the majority of the metro Orlando area from Sanford north all the way to Kissimmee south now under severe weather statements. Again, this is one level below a severe thunderstorm warning. Your severe thunderstorm warning criteria is winds of 60 miles an hour and or inch-sized hail. If you don't have either of those criterias, the Weather Service, if it's still a strong storm, will issue what's called the special weather statement, and that can vary. Basically, any criteria below that. Of course, you know, when I've been on live, we've seen winds of 40 to 50 on here. We've seen even up to ½ inch or 3/4 inch sized hail. If it's just not going to get to that inch-sized hail, they're not going to make it a severe thunderstorm warning. They want to keep that criteria, if you will. Also notice again that there are showers developing out ahead of this. So places like Deltona, it's wet. DeBerry as well, so I-4 1792 back towards Osteen and the 415, and this rain drags its way closer to I-95 at the area. So it's going to be wet, and we're just going to get these storms to pulse up a little bit more. All the numbers that you see on your screen are, again, are wind gusts. And we had a little 30 back down in Polk County here near the Auburndale area. Again, healthy storm there over Haines City. All the movement looks to be around the east, 20 to 25 miles. And again, this line is going to fill in even a little bit more at the hour. That's what it looks like on the Melbourne radar. Let me go ahead and just loop this up real quick. We'll get an idea here. Again, sometimes, you know what it was? The Melbourne radar just before I came on actually had a hiccup. So let's just reset that. And I'll go over to the composite radar. Right before I came on, the lost its data, basically. So while I'm setting that up, let's take a look at these cameras once again, especially that Conway camera. Again, probably going to be the area that I expect there to be some pretty good storms, right? Conway area kind of on the eastern side of the metro Orlando area. So would expect there to be some rowdier storms coming in with that. And again, pretty dark skies there at the hour. Nice tranquil shot though. And again, this is one of our new cameras. And this is what's going to be, we'll be bringing you guys here. Central Florida Weather Live. The plan is to bring multiple cameras in, a lot more as far as that goes. That way we can get live looks to everything that's happening across our area right now. So again, live look to the Conway area. I am tap dancing slightly because my radar did hiccup here. So we'll keep an eye on the cameras as I try and reset this. I was not happy with me trying to make that quick switch over. But it also doesn't want to shut down. It's very stubborn. Kind of like has to want to do it on its own, to be honest. Oh, there we go, finally. Have you decided that you... Oh, there we go. Okay, finally. Finally the program said yes. I'm not a big fan of it. That's the live look to the Disney World area. That's the live look to Conway right now. And again, these storms are going to be pulsing up. They're going to be getting a little bit stronger, which is one reason why I wanted to come on. Figured that we would get at least several special weather statements, and that has already happened. But the storms that are out kind of in central Lake County right now, they're also pulsing up. They're going to be producing more lightning. Haven't seen a lot of lightning as of yet, but I do expect that to change here over the next half hour or so. Okay, so we're back. Again, live look to the radar out of Melbourne, and I can switch to multiple radar sites. Special weather statement from downtown Orlando south, including the attractions in I-Drive Kissimmee, will expire in 5 minutes. Now, this is a little bit weaker, but there is some heavier rain right now, Meadowwoods, Buenaventura Lakes, and the Lake Nona Medical City area. So we'll see if the Weather Service wants to reissue that one. Let me see now if this is going to cooperate, and let me bring on the composite reflectivity here. Okay, so let's loop this up and just kind of give you an idea of what's been happening with these storms. First of all the movement is going to be west to east for today, okay? That's the flow of the mid and the upper level winds. But with this stationary boundary situated here, there's plenty of lift in the atmosphere as well. And we know there's a lot of moisture. I mean, how humid has it been? So these storms are going to get a little bit rowdier over the next couple of hours. They're all going to track from west to east. So they're beginning to more impact the I-4 corridor right now, but down the road in the early to mid-afternoon, they'll have more impacts for the I-95 corridor. So our friends in Flagler and Volusia and Brevard counties will start to see more of that as well. And the main threats are going to be those winds of 40 miles an hour, but certainly could get a little bit more in the way of some gusts as well. Nice forward speed, east at around 20 to 25. And again, those yellow boxes are our special weather statements. Okay, let's go back over to the radar out of Melbourne once again. And we'll track these storms for you. So I'll be curious to see here in the next 3 minutes whether for this chunk of that line, whether the Weather Service wants to start and issue another special weather statement that would go deeper into the eastern sides of Orange County. It's still quite heavy rain for Davenport, Haines City, Winter Haven, and then this second line here is going to potentially get a little bit stronger as well. Heavy rain right now moving into Montverde, in Oakland, in portions of Winter Garden, and Lake County, Claremont, Groveland area as well. And again, tracks of these are going to be all off towards the east. So appreciate you guys tuning in. While you're here, you want to do me a favor, click that like button. Appreciate it. Nice to see you again on this Tuesday. And if you're just tuning in, we're tracking some stronger storms moving across mainly the metro Orlando area. I'll also be monitoring how far south and west these storms want to dive closer to Tampa and St. Petersburg, Pinellas, and Hillsborough counties for us here. Strongest storms are right now in the Orlando metro area, and these special weather statements cover portions of Volusia County all the way down to portions of Osceola County. Movements east, 20 to 25. Main threat's going to be winds of 40 miles an hour, some heavier rainfall as well. Watch out for some ponding on the roadways. And again, storms are initializing a little bit earlier for today. Have a little bit more lightning right now as well up in Mount Plymouth. And this also reminds me that, again, if you guys have tuned in before, I've really taken down the lightning strikes because sometimes it's very hard to see. But I'm going to take it back to a more normal filter, if you will. And we're going to get more lightning strikes now. Again, I could filter it all the way down to basically the minimum energy with these storms. And, you know, I can, and I might as well go ahead right now. But you'll get the idea that sometimes when we have these really rowdy summer storms, it's actually hard to track them. But you notice that now that I have no filter on the lightning, the true lightning strike count is much more significant up here in the northwest sides of Orange County. Again, to be clear, lightning is not a factor, if you will. It's not a condition for special weather statements and severe thunderstorm warnings. The amount of lightning, the intensity of the lightning, any of that does not play into the fact whether the Weather Service issues severe thunderstorm warning or special weather statements. It's wind strength and hail size, and those are the only two criteria, okay? Lightning, flooding rains, not a criteria. Obviously, they would be issuing flood advisories, flash flood warnings, stuff like that if it gets heavy enough rain. This again will expire in 35 minutes. Again, I always feel like we're looking at like a basketball clock just counting down for us here. But the heavier rain is beginning to approach and move through downtown Orlando as we speak towards Delaney Park. So our Conway cam will be getting some of this rain shortly. So we'll take a look at that coming up. Pine Castle, Sky Lake, Belle Isle, heavy rain across that area. Then right back down towards the Turnpike, Meadowwoods, Hunters Creek, healthy storm near Buenaventura Lakes, and that is going to move right over portions of Lake Nona, Medical City, Narcoossee areas as well. So at this time, they've allowed that part of the special weather statement to expire. We'll see if they reissue it. These are beginning to line up a little bit more, and as these lines begin to kind of fill in, the wind threat comes up a bit with those as well. It's just a more linear equation to the storms. So we bring on the winds right now and the gusts. Again, these are going to be our observation sites like MCO, 22 mile an hour wind there, 90 degrees, hasn't set in the rain yet, 25 mile an hour wind at the Executive Airport in downtown Orlando. But by far the rowdiest storm right now with some very heavy rain is over 441, 429 near the 414, Apopka south towards Maitland, and then up the road towards our friends in Mount Dora and Mount Plymouth. Again, fair amount of lightning here. Within this view, just the last 15 minutes, we've had 93 lightning strikes. So this will be moving east and moving into Civil County here across the I-4 corridor. So our friends in Winter Springs and Lake Mary need to get prepared for that. Of course, portions of northern Orange and then into the southern sides of Seminole County. And they did reissue this special weather statement, which I'm not surprised about because there actually looks to be a pretty good amount of wind here near Lake Nona. And if you guys live in these areas, let me know in the comments section below what you're seeing, especially again if you're getting some of those rowdier wind conditions. Let's take a look. Again, the camera out of the Disney World area will be quiet until that second line comes in. This is going to be the camera to keep an eye out for, to watch out what's going on with that first line. That again is from the Lake Conway area there in just east of downtown Orlando, kind of south and east of Orlando, if you know that area. But it's about ready to get hit with some of the rain. And again, that area is under portions of that special weather statement. Now, we'll see the winds pick up. And this is a very common sight across a lot of the Orlando metro area right now. Really gray skies. We're going to get some heavier rainfall. Watch out for the lightning that's going to be building in as well. Again, these storms will just get rowdier and rowdier overall here for the remainder of the afternoon hours. And again, this is our second live camera that we're bringing you here at Central Florida Weather Live. And obviously, the thoughts are continue to expand to bring you live looks through a lot of Central Florida. So keep an eye out for that as we continue to expand and grow the channel. Let's go back to the radar again. If you're just tuning in, the reason why I came on right now is we're going to be into a pretty active pattern here for the rest of the week. There is a frontal boundary that is coming in and stalling out. And it's more of just kind of what's happening right now, even at the mid and the upper levels of the atmosphere, because it's washing out. And obviously, look, it's August, right? It's not a true cold front, but it did bring some pretty nasty weather to Georgia and the Panhandle over the last couple of days. And now it's sunk just far enough south where we're going to get impacted by this. Now, I don't expect high-end severe storms, but special weather statements and maybe an isolated severe thunderstorm over the next several days is likely, okay? These are going to be storms that will just develop, and they'll develop pretty early because this pattern will be situated over us, where that lift in the atmosphere, the moisture, you guys felt how muggy it was for today. And so I do expect the timing of these storms to be much earlier in the late morning into the early afternoon than what we typically see, because this is not a typical sea breeze pattern. There's more into play than that. And that's also why, until we can wash this out completely, which may not happen until the weekend, we're going to be in for widespread showers and storms, and some of those storms will be on the stronger side. You notice that all of these live winds across all of our area are well into the 20s. Nothing is outrageously high, but everyone has some gusty winds at the hour. Let's start up northeast and we'll work our way kind of south. Couple of showers for my friends up in the Ormond Beach area. Beginning to rain a little bit heavier right now. New Smyrna towards Edgewater. Again, all of these storms are moving east right now at around 25 miles an hour. 20 to 25 is what the Weather Service is saying. And of course, my radar will pick up individual cells and give us an idea. Might be slowing up a little bit as well. I've seen more storm speeds in the high teens rather than the lower 20s, at least the last couple of looks here. Deltona kind of in between right now, but still going to be wet again. There's your special weather statement for winds of 40 miles an hour. And this is the strongest part of any storm right now. Mount Plymouth, 46 towards I-4. The northern sides of Apopka right now. Again, all that flashing red, very heavy rain there. Same thing for South Apopka down to 429. There's your secondary special weather statement. There's just a little sliver in between, but I promise you in between it's still wet and rainy for Lockhart, Eatonville, Winter Park, Fairview Shores towards Fairview Park there, Baldwin Park, downtown Orlando, Delaney Park, on over towards Conway. And again, this is where our camera is located, so we'll watch this cell work its way in. Not a lot of lightning in this part of it, but the second one we'll show you out west has more lightning in it right now. Pine Castle, Meadow Woods, Lake Nona Medical City. Again, special weather statement there until 1:30. Heavy rain, Buenaventura Lakes and Kissimmee. Let me, if I'm going to risk looping this up, we'll see. All right, it behaved a little bit better here. So this is the loop from the Melbourne radar site. It's a nice clean look. Sorry about that, zoomed in a little bit too much there. But you get the idea. There's some decent forward speed, and that's one reason why the wind threat is going to be up there. We're also seeing these storms beginning to get a little bit stronger here through portions of the far eastern side of Polk County and then slipping into the far south and western sides of Osceola County as well. Auburndale had a 30-mile-an-hour wind gust as those storms came through. Nice cluster of lightning there, by the way. Look at that lightning count, nearly 100 strikes in a 15-minute time frame over Lake Alfred and the Auburndale-Haines City area. And then this secondary cluster, guys, is a bit stronger. It's ramping up right now in intensity. You can see the storms out of Dade City, and you can see that lightning count really going up. So that's into some rural areas right now, and we'll be tracking into the southern sides of Lake County. But if it can hold together eventually down the road, this could be a storm that will impact the attractions area, Lake Buena Vista and the Celebration area. So there's a gap right now in the activity near the attractions, but a rowdier storm with much more lightning could be working its way in very, very quickly. Do a couple of things here quick behind the scenes. I can tell you while I'm doing that, I'm just going to load up a couple of things. Let's go back over to our Conway cam. Again, we're still a few minutes away from the rain hitting that area, so we'll monitor that situation for you. You can see the winds have freshened up just a little bit. Look, I know it's nothing outrageous, but you can see those skies have been darkening up a bit there as well. So expect that to get a little bit rowdier as we move through the remainder of the next 15 to 30 minutes. And again, special weather statement is in effect for those areas. All right. 25-mile-an-hour wind there in Orlando. I wanted to see here. This thing's been a little bit fidgety. Yeah. Looking at a couple different things here, guys. Doo-doo-doo. Yeah, again, so east at 25. So that one's a little bit stronger and faster. Claremont's rain is beginning to end. Oakland, Montverde, Winter Garden. This cell east at 31, so it has a little bit more forward speed. Now notice again, pretty much I'm not finding any potential hail cores. This one here, when you see the triangle icon, that is indicative of the possibility of hail, but they've got 10%. We're not really in an environment today to see hail out of this. I mean, could there be a couple of thumps with some pea-sized hail, it's possible. This is mainly about the heavier rain and the stronger winds. So Buenaventura Lakes in those areas right now. Let's go over to the velocity. This is the winds. And we'll see if there's any stronger winds that I can pick out here from the Melbourne radar. First of all the green means it's heading towards the radar site. So get the idea that everything is just kind of moving in one direction. It's nice and linear. Not too concerned about seeing that. That's not very tight. The brighter greens are some stronger winds, but again, I don't think we're going to find anything too crazy. A little bit of a 30 plus, and this is exactly why they issued the special weather statement. So like Lake Mary, down towards Wekiva Springs, it's a nice little some fresh winds over here, or Apopka, just south of the 414, as I mentioned. 414, where it splits from the 429, and then takes you to 441, and 434 and I-4. Good solid winds there as well. And these winds, again, are a little bit fresher here. Notice that, and it all kind of goes in accordance. When you have these brighter greens and this lightning, that's just a stronger storm. That's the bottom line. And that's the one that could be trying to work its way into the Lake Buena Vista area soon. So I'll be monitoring that one for you as well. Yeah. Okay. Just looking at something there real quick. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's reset the scene here. Again, special weather statements are currently in effect for portions of the Metro Orlando area. All right. Now, these are going to be moving off to the east at around 25 miles an hour. Let me just reset this one more time. By the way, if you have any interest in Bahamas, they're going to get hammered too with this as well. But just want to bring back on again the times. So 130 here, 130 here, both of those. And again, the winds are the factor. So here you go. Now we have a 44-mile-an-hour wind in downtown Orlando at the Executive Airport. We have a 41-mile-an-hour wind at MCO. That is why we have the special weather statements in play. So let's see if we have stronger winds yet at Conway, because believe it or not, this camera is in between those two reporting stations. It's in between the Executive Airport and MCO, and they probably just missed those stronger winds. Again, you know, these were reported here just 12 minutes ago at the Executive Airport and about 19 minutes ago at MCO. So solid winds. Okay, and again, our camera is located right there. So it just missed some of the rowdier weather. Also notice too, though, that these are beginning to line up a little bit more. So the wind threat is going to be going up. Wedgefield all the way back down towards Narcoossee, St. Cloud, lightning's picking up. Overall, these storms are just getting more intense as we push into the 1 o'clock hour. They're still not very close to severe thunderstorm criteria, but they're beginning to organize themselves a little bit more right now. And so the rain threat, as far as intensity, is going to be going up, the lightning threat's going to be going up, and the wind threat's going to be all going up as well. This is a non-severe storm over Edgewater in Volusia County, but again, good lightning out of it, 26 miles an hour. Could there be some marine warnings issued with this as well? Absolutely. So I want to make sure I have those initiated, and I do. So at this point in time, we don't have any special marine warnings. We have one way down here. And by the way, the central and the southern sides of the state are going to be very active. They might actually go back and forth because there could be a little bit of drier air coming in. So the interesting thing about this, and you can see all of the rowdy weather down here, Boynton Beach and West Palm and places like that, and the special marine warnings that are issued, is that in the next 5 days or so, the weather pattern is going to be very active across central and southern Florida, but there could also be a little bit of drier air that gets shoved in. And so we might go from a day like this to seeing hardly any rain one afternoon, and then right back to this or even worse the next day. Overall, though, I think through the weekend, rain and storm chances will be exceptionally high. So if you're like me and you actually turned your sprinklers back on for the very first time in a long time through most of our area, you can go ahead and shut those back off. I actually did yesterday in anticipation that we would be getting some good rain. Hopefully I get a little bit more than what I've had so far today, but that opportunity is going to be there. Again, I appreciate you guys tuning in. 1:14 on a Tuesday afternoon. If you're here, thank you for liking the stream. If you haven't subscribed to Central Florida Weather Live and you want your latest live updates when active weather occurs over Central Florida, click that subscribe button right now. Again, this is a live only channel. I'm only live when we have active storms across the area. So have those notifications on, right? Have all the notifications on, because you're not going to get spammed by this channel. The only notifications you're going to get is when I'm live, and so you know something is actually happening across Central Florida that you're going to want to tune in for. And this afternoon, it's about storms producing some winds right now of over 40 miles an hour, very heavy rain. Lightning is beginning to pick up as well, and I would fathom that the intensity of these storms might actually get a little bit more as they get into Volusia and Brevard counties. A couple of reasons why. First of all, the wind field on the profiles just a little bit better as we go a little bit farther off towards the east. But remember, deeper into the day, right, these areas haven't had the rain and the storms, so it's darn hot. And now there's just more fuel. There's more heat energy. Take a look at some of these temperatures. 93, northern side of Brevard County. Cape Canaveral right now, 95. Titusville, Port St. John, Indian River City, that's an air temperature of 97 degrees. 97 degrees with a dew point of 73. How rough is that? 95 in Satellite Beach. 93 in the Melbourne area, Palm Bay as well. So again, all of our reporting stations out of Brevard County, low, mid, even upper 90s for actual air temperatures. Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, 93 degrees. So some healthy fuel to the fire, if you will. Now obviously we're rain cooled a bit here, but because the storms developed earlier in the day, I-4 to the west, we just didn't have as much heating of the lower levels of the atmosphere, but still enough to produce these special weather statements. And again, just nice strong winds here. Let's go back over to our cam. The winds just never picked up there in Conway. So you guys got lucky, right in between the two stronger parts of that cell. They one to the north, and then really that special weather statement. I know it includes Conway, and that's the Disney World look, but really it was just south of MCO. So again, this clipped MCO in Lake Nona and Medical City and Narcoossee, 41 mile an hour winds there. Very heavy rain for St. Cloud towards Harmony, Holopaw moving in. And again, all of this is moving to the east at about 25 miles an hour. Go back over here. Just double check. Two large special weather statements. Here's a flood warning, by the way. Just double check while it's here in Pasco and Hernando. It's for the Withlacoochee River and the Myakka River as well, down in Sarasota County. But the Withlacoochee River at US 301, Pasco, Hernando counties. Okay, wasn't to do with any of the rain that we've had recently, as far as, you know, urban and flash flooding. River flooding, still a bit of a concern there. But two very large special weather statements. And again, these go until 1:30. But if anything, these storms have actually pulsed up a little bit. So certainly an opportunity that the Weather Service will actually continue these special weather statements as they track off to the east. If you live in Sanford, in Lake Mary, in Winter Springs, now it's starting to pick up a bit more, right? Heavy rain there, fair amount of lightning. Pretty rough drive right now. Winter Springs, Castleberry, Altamont Springs, Maitland. And as I say this, they just issued a extremely large special weather statement. Look at that. Again, would not have expected them to not. And I want to be clear about this. We just talked about this, guys. This new special weather statement now has winds up to 50 miles an hour because they saw the 44 at MCO and they said, oops, we're a little too low at 40. It's actually stronger than that. So they've upped this special weather statement to 50. If the Weather Service out of Melbourne thought that it could get to 60, then this would be a severe thunderstorm warning. So it's just below that criteria, but they're not expecting wind gusts to approach 50 or go over 60, excuse me. Now this is for the next 55 minutes. So 45, what 215? Is that what they're trying to say? This goes until 2:15 now? Yeah, till 2:15. So I'll read it out for you guys, but it's everything that we were just talking about. Strong thunderstorm impacting Seminole, East Central Lake, Northwest Brevard, East Orange, Southeast Volusia, and Northeast Osceola counties. You get all those counties when you issue a special weather statement that is that wide. Till 2:15, tracking a strong thunderstorm. They're pinpointing a veto, by the way. It's a strong part, but I think they're just centralizing this entire area. Moving east at 20, winds of up to 50 miles an hour. Gusty winds could knock down tree limbs and blow down unsecured objects. Some of the larger areas that will be impacted include Orlando, Deltona, Kissimmee, Sanford, and Titusville, but there's a lot more areas that will be impacted by that as well. Now, again, we got to watch out for the lightning counts going up. We got to watch out for some of that heavier rain producing some ponding on roadways as well, okay? So again, these are just rowdier storms and they're cranked up a bit. And remember what I just mentioned, it's still hot across I-95 because now we're at 120 and the atmosphere in the lower levels has warmed up a bit more, okay? And that's going to put more fuel to the fire. So I'm not shocked by any of this, to be quite honest. The evolution of this is how I expected this to play out. They were relatively strong in Lake County, and then just farther east that they've gone, they've just continued to intensify. So here it is again. I'm going to put this into motion over the last 30 minutes. We'll start to take a look at some winds as well. You got any specific question about the forecast? You're more than welcome to drop it in the comments section below. Let me know where you're viewing from. I always appreciate that. And while you're here, thank you for liking the live stream. And if you haven't subscribed to Central Florida Weather Live yet, do that. Remember, I'm only on live when we got some active weather, and we've got some active weather right now from the I-4 corridor of Volusia, Seminole, Orange, Osceola counties, and then east. So this will be impacting deeper into Volusia, all of Seminole, central and the eastern sides of Orange, the northeast sides of Osceola, and then it eventually at least into the central and the northern sides of Brevard County. Also for any beachgoers, for any mariners along our east coast, these storms are going to begin to impact this area more and more. If you know anyone who has gone to the beach on this Tuesday, and school's back in session here, but there's some folks who love to do that. Please make sure that they're weather aware. I mean, this is a really nasty storm, just to give you an idea, over the Edgewater area right now. In just this view across US 1 and A1A, in the last 15 minutes, we've had 56 lightning strikes, okay? So anyone in this area, that's a strong storm. And again, even my radar is trying to point on that there could be the lowest chance for hail. I'm not really expecting there to be hail out of these guys. Could there be a couple of hailstones? It's a possibility, but that's not the environment we're in. This is mainly going to be a linear wind threat. Not expecting there to be a ton of rotation as well. Of course, when these storms come off of the coastline, the friction difference between the coast and the water, the land and the water difference can bring some inherent rotation. So a water spout or a funnel is possible, but it's not, again, a high issue, at least at this point in time. Breaking the action till you get back to DeBerry, Sanford, Lake Mary. Nice lightning strikes right now. Lake Mary towards Winter Springs, heavy rain over Longwood. Again, notice that all of the arrows that I put on here in our storm tracking mode, those are all moving from west to east. This will continue to be the motion. That's not going to change. And by the way, over the next 5 or 6 days under this active pattern, that's not going to change either. We're going to continue to see these storms develop along our west coast and then work their way off to the east, because that is the upper level and mid-level wind pattern with this, again, kind of decaying weak front. It's kind of hard this time of the year to even call it a cold front, but it has allowed there to be a lot more lift in the atmosphere and just more instability as well. And it's not just us. A lot of South Florida and the Bahamas will actually be on it as well. You can see all the storms down here. So if you have any travel plans, West Palm, Miami, we're kind of in the same scenario here, where it's going to be some pretty darn active weather over the next 5-6 days. We could be talking about high-end storm chances overall, at least through Saturday or Sunday. And again, nice lightning counts as well. Let's go back over to our cameras. Again, relatively quiet right now in the Disney area, but I am watching the next line of storms coming in. This will get wet and stormy again. If you know anyone at the attractions, there is another line of storms that'll be working its way into the area. That's the live look to Conway. Again, that is just southeast of downtown Orlando. It's a gorgeous shot. It's going to be a really interesting shot to show you guys, because looking over that lake, we're going to really get a good perspective. We have a nice angle and a good distance to look at there, so we can really see pretty far from this perspective, and you can see some of those low-hanging clouds that's going to be moving back over that area. Now, Conway missed some of the stronger winds that came through the metro. If you're just tuning in, downtown Orlando had a 44-mile-an-hour wind gust at the Executive Airport, and then Orlando International, otherwise known as MCO, had a 41-mile-an-hour wind gust. This camera is literally in between those two, and we didn't get any strong winds. So it shows you that it's not everywhere, okay? But in some of those cores, we are getting winds to go over 40 miles an hour, which is why when the Weather Service reissued and extended this special weather statement for all that area we just talked about, they upped the wind threat from 40 miles an hour to 50 miles an hour. Reset the shot here. And again, these storms are just getting stronger, even back towards Zephyr Hills. They're trying to build back down to the northern sides of Hillsborough County, but it's mainly Pasco and then slipping into very far southern Lake County and the northern sides of Polk County. This storm is picking up intensity as well. They all are. They're lining up, so the wind threat's going to be higher as well. So St. Cloud, Lake Nona, and this will follow 192, so Harmony is included in that special weather statement. And if they reissue it, maybe even the Holopau area as well. At this point in time, and let me get this out, actually, I need to extend this out. Harmony still is in it and Holopau is not, but again, that new special weather statement does go all the way until Brevard County. So again, that is the live radar. Give me just 1 second here, guys. I'm going to just reset this view. All the numbers that you see, by the way, are going to be wind gusts in miles an hour. So even down in Tampa, they haven't had a lot of rain yet, but they are picking up some. 30-mile-an-hour winds. Nice little 46-mile-an-hour wind gust now at the Sanford Airport. So there you go. So winds are strong, and they're getting stronger. If you live in the Metro Orlando area, you're probably feeling it at this point in time. All right. The radar might be having a little bit of issues. That's not us. That is the actual radar out of Melbourne. They might be having a little bit of issue. I'm going to switch over here. Bring this back down to an hour. All right, give me just 1 second here, guys. Even I'm having a little bit of a mapping issue. There we go. Okay. Let's bring this back down to an hour. All right, so we got the Melbourne radar back. Beautiful. looping. So we do have a special weather statement as well. And it all makes sense. So now we have a special marine warning. And guys, look how big that is. That's central and southern Flagler County, all the way to the southern sides of Brevard. And again, this all goes along with what we were talking about. These storms are going to be picking up in intensity across I-95, moving offshore. So if you know anyone who's boating right now, and I want to be clear, and we mentioned this in other live streams as well, the Weather Service does a great job of issuing these special marine warnings pretty early. Because obviously, if you're out on coastal waters, you are exposed. They're not going to wait until this thing is on top of you before giving you that update and letting you try and get back into safe harbor, okay? Now, these storms have extended back into Volusia County, but there's more to come. And so this special marine warning is typically issued pretty early before the storms arrive to try and get those boaters back into safe harbor before they actually hit. Again, 1:30, and again, as I mentioned, the intensity of these cells are beginning to pick back up. So now a new special weather statement is in play for the Zephyr Hills area. Again, I'm just trying to reset this view because I want those times to come back on. It's one little hiccup. There we go. Expiration time sometimes just falls off. So it's 44 more minutes. So that's 2:15 as well for the Zephyr Hills area. Now this one is not as strong, 40 1/4, but you notice that this is the first time that we've actually had the Weather Service talk about any potential for hail. That's what that means. Within this special weather statement, they're calling for potential quarter-sized hail. And notice that my weather computer is picking up on that hail threat as well. So there you go. The first time we've actually had the potential for some hail. Now again, it's east of Zephyr Hills, kind of moving into more rural spots. Notice again, we have street level mapping here. This is Gibsonia and Polk City. So hopefully if hail is being produced out of this, it's falling in areas that are unpopulated. But it's a stronger storm. The lightning count is up to nearly 300 lightning strikes in this spot in just the last 15 minutes, okay? And again, this special marine warning, as you would imagine, goes on for a long time, 2 more hours as well. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, if you haven't hit the like button yet, I thoroughly appreciate the support as well. Going to get some of the new information for you here. Let's check out this. So there's a special marine statement, not the marine warning, but a special marine statement for Flagler Beach to Volusia, and then Volusia to Brevard to the Sebastian Inlet. Winds of 30 knots and moving east at around 10. So that was the the marine weather statement. Now, the special marine warning, by the way, extends out in some areas to 60 nautical miles. So there's actually 2 zones here. You've got the nearshore waters, which is up to 20 nautical miles. Then you have the offshore waters, which is 20 to 60 nautical miles. This encompasses both. All right, so nearshore and offshore waters out to 60 nautical miles. Main threat, going to be wind gusts of 34 knots or greater. And these are the storms that are moving in right now. So let's get back to those. Again, the intensity as it comes off the coastline, picking up right now. Edgewater, back down towards Oak Hill. Special weather statement. Storms are really beginning to fill in through portions of southern Volusia and portions of Citadel counties as well. If you're just tuning in, 46 mile-an-hour wind gusts at the Sanford Airport. And that was less than 20 minutes ago. 23 mile-an-hour west wind and a gust to 46. That's why we have these special weather statements. Bit of lightning here as well. Heavier rain, Chuliota, Avita, Winter Springs, Castleberry, ponding on roadways possible. Deltona, DeBerry, beginning to quiet down Mount Plymouth, Mount Dora, and Apopka. Light rain right now for Maitland and Winter Park. Downtown Orlando's looking better. Again, Executive Airport had a 44 mile-an-hour wind gust. Still had a 24 here. That was at 127. So just 6 minutes ago, they put out a special for the 24 mile-an-hour winds. Heavy rain towards Wedgefield right now. And again, that particular cell is moving northeast at 23, and that's the general movement is It's all moving east. Some of the cells are moving a little bit north of east. Some of the cells are moving a little bit south of east, but an average direction of movement east at about 20 miles an hour. Winds are going to freshen up, obviously, through Brevard County. A lot of lightning. If you live here and you're looking out west, you're seeing some really dark skies. This is a very healthy cell right here over the St. Cloud area, East Lake Tahoe, north of Harmony. Radar's picking up the opportunity for a little bit of hail here as well, 30% probability. And again, back west is a secondary line. And this is what's going to be coming back over the attractions area, Lake Buena Vista, Four Corners, Celebration. Some of that heavier rain has already been able to reach the 429, Hamlin, Lake Butler, Windermere, moving off towards the east. That is moving east and even a little bit faster. So kind of on the northern side of this, we have a little bit more movement. And this is a very healthy cell right now with the opportunity for some hail. And that's kind of far southeast portions of Pasco County. See here, and then in the Polk. Let's get that new special weather statement. Southeast Pasco, northwest Polk, till 2:15. Winds of 40 and some pea-sized hail. That's what those quarters mean, okay? Really gusty winds. So Lakeland, Polk City, Rock Ridge, Kathleen, Gibsonia, some of the areas that could be impacted by that cell. And again, this is an extremely large special weather statement, but for good reasons, because winds are really beginning to pick up in these areas. Speaking of winds, let's go back over to our velocity. And again, this is a look at the winds with inside the storms. We see the reds are winds moving away from the radar. The greens are moving towards the radar. Now, again, I don't expect there to be a lot of rotation. If there's any kind of rotation we would see, it would be right along the coast. You can kind of almost clearly see that with this cell. There's a little bit of red and green. Could there be a lowering? Could there be a bit of a funnel trying to form? Yes, but are we really expecting, true development of water spouts? It's a very low end chance. I'm not expecting. The tornado potential is basically 0 for today. It's not 0, but it's very low. These are very linear winds, so that's why everything is moving in a quick direction one way. But the friction difference between land and water always brings some inherent rotation, especially with some of the stronger cells. So it's never a non-zero chance as these come offshore that we couldn't have a brief water spout. It's absolutely plausible, okay? And I live in western Orange County, and I'm hearing some more thunder ramp up right now. So there's another nice little cell coming through. Pretty good wind right here. Just kind of analyzing this in real time with you guys. 35, close to 40 here. It's in a rural area, but there's some strong winds there. And look at all of this lightning here. Look at all that lightning. And again, special weather statement in this area. Okay. Let's check out our cameras. That is a live look to the Disney World area. This camera is actually just about a mile from Disney World. So love it, because that's going to be a nice attractions camera. And again, if you're just tuning in here to Central Florida Weather Live, we're going to be adding more live cameras to bring you guys live coverage. Obviously, that's what we're going to do. So we want to be able to bring you a lot of live looks across Central Florida. But that is a live look just basically a mile away from the Disney World area, Magic Kingdom. I also feel like every time we look at this, it's trash day. And then that's a live look to Conway, which is also in the Metro Orlando area. It's just south and east of downtown. Beautiful shot looking over the lake. It's going to be a nice perspective for us because, again, we're going to get a nice long view from that camera. Okay, 1:38 on a Tuesday. Nice to see everyone. Appreciate you guys stopping by. My name is Rusty McCranie, and I thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for liking the live stream. If you haven't already subscribed to Central Florida Weather Live, I appreciate you clicking that subscribe button right now. If you're new to the channel, again, only live when there's active weather across Central Florida, right? Doesn't necessarily mean it has to be tornadic activity or the highest severe storms, but when there is impactful weather, we'll be on. And monitoring again, what's going to be a very active weather pattern across our area for the next several days. And just like today, the pattern through the rest of the week, and potentially even into the weekend, will be for these storms to develop pretty early in the day. They got going mid to late morning out west, and they've just got a little bit stronger the farther east that they've gone, all right? So right now, again, Sanford reporting a 35-mile-an-hour wind, but their gusts were up to 46. That's the strongest I've seen so far. Sanford 46, downtown Orlando Executive Airport 44, MCO, OIA, Orlando International 41, and that's still their last report as of about 40 minutes ago. They had a 41-mile-an-hour wind gust. Now again, there's a second line coming in. It's not as intense, at least right now, through Southeast Lake and Western Orange, but it is very intense over portions of Pasco and northwest side of Hernando County, excuse me, Polk County as well. And let me just get rid of that here. Let's see. I think I'll just click it again, right? Click off it. There we go. Okay. The lightning, though. It's 98,471, which cuts off from I-4. Look at all that lightning, guys. 337 lightning strikes. Wow. And again, one of the only, and actually the only special weather statement so far that's had any mention of hail. Pea size, not going to be damaging hail, but in that kind of storm, you could also have a lot of it. Okay? It could be like that snow effect that we sometimes see here in Florida where the gutters looks like it snowed a bit because there's all this really small hail. Shouldn't be damaging when we're talking about that size, but there could in that core be a lot. There's also a pretty darn rowdy storm just north and east of St. Cloud. Luckily, this is in a pretty rural area of far northeastern Osceola County, but down the road, if this were to hold together, places like Merritt Island and Vieira and Rockledge and Cocoa and Sharps will all be included. Now, this is getting closer already to impacting Port St. John and Indian River City and Titusville. This is not the rowdiest part of this cell, of this line coming in, but it is a stronger storm for sure. And then some really nasty weather, the Volusia Brevard County coastline, county line, Oak Hill to just north of Mims. So I-95 travel is not going to be pleasant in this area. Still a couple of storms even north of the special weather statement for our friends in DeLand. 18-mile-an-hour wind, nothing crazy, but some gusts there. Up towards far northern Volusia County. These will try and get towards Ormond Beach, Holly Hill, and Daytona Beach. And if I go over to the composite reflectivity, still quiet for our friends in Flagler County. Looking okay, Palm Coast, Flagler Beach. But again, please let anyone who is either on a boat in this area or have been enjoying the beaches today early to make sure that they're finding some safe shelter. Because, again, it's moved in early. These storms are just getting rowdier as we go. That special marine warning is for southern and central Flagler County all the way down to southern Brevard and out to 60 nautical miles, okay? So near shore, offshore waters, all impacted. Wind gusts, potentially, again, you can see that, of over 34 knots. A lot of lightning picking up over Oak Hill. And again, all the arrows show you moving off to the east. Now here's a little core I'll be watching near Oak Hill, where again, that little triangle icon lets me know that there's the opportunity that there could actually be some smaller hail within it. All right. Same situation for that one. So while I don't expect there to be a lot of hail, if you notice, if you have been watching since we came on, that some of these storms now are pinging some hail threats compared to what they were. And speaking of that, let's take a look at that real quick. So I'm going to go back over to the Melbourne radar. And then we're going to take a look at any estimated hail size. See what we got. And hopefully it cooperates. And again, I don't think that, it's not my system. The Melbourne radar has been having a little bit of issues today. There we go. So if that product is on, it's not showing anything. But I would imagine we would see a little bit if it was actually correctly coming. Look at all that lightning as well. Whew. That's a rowdy storm, guys. Go back over to reflectivity. We can also, of course, take a look at this particular one with the Tampa radar. So this is going to be the radar out of Ruskin, which services the Tampa area. It's a little bit closer to that particular cell. Let's see if it has a little bit of hail. It does. Not a lot, but here you go. And so my radar system is perfectly picked up on where there might be a little bit of hail. So let me get rid of that, and then we can look at how big it could be. So it's trying to paint on even a little bit more. Now that could obviously be a little bit cluttered with some very heavy rain, but there are pockets of hail possible just east of Zephyr Hills. This is 98, and it's going to try and sneak its way towards Polk City. But there you go. Let's see if there's anywhere else within here. Again, this is a nice little hail core here. Potential. Across I-95. This is north of Mims, south of Oak Hill. Could be some dime. I don't think there's going to be anything more than that. More than likely P. And again, sometimes the radar overestimates the size of the hail because it gets ingested with some extremely heavy rain. And again, these cells are picking up an intensity here. No other place. Could there be a little bit of hail right now across the beach line and the 520 interchange? It's possible. I wouldn't expect there to be a lot, and I wouldn't expect it to be damaging, but that's a not fun drive right now across the beach line. That is some heavy, heavy storm activity. And again, the Weather Service is like, you know what? We're just going to keep extending it. Now this gets into Brevard County, deep into Brevard County, Satellite Beach, Merritt Island, Port St. John, Cape Canaveral. Obviously, anyone who would be enjoying the Cape right now and the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Center, it's going to be a little bit of a rough afternoon. Go back over to the Melbourne radar. Still some real solid winds here, guys. Still 35, and we'll watch now what the Cape reports. We had a sensor here. There is one right in here, but they're not reporting any gusts so far. Look at that temperature. 97 degrees right now. You want to talk about some fuel to the fire? You got some heat fuel in Brevard County right now. 93 in Melbourne. Yeah. Pretty solid. Rain-cooled 79 in downtown Orlando, 79 in Sanford. Still watching this cell. It's east of Zephyr Hills, but that's a nasty one, guys. 345 lightning strikes. Again, a little bit of hail possible with that one, too. Back out to the broad perspective. If you're just tuning in, first of all, I appreciate you. If you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it down in the comments section below. I would love to hear from you guys where you're viewing from, and I appreciate the support. While you're here, thank you for liking the live stream. And if you haven't become a subscriber yet to Central Florida Weather Live, appreciate that as well. as I get a little bit of fuel. I didn't really get to have lunch. I will be having lunch when I go off camera, but this vitamin water helps. And the reason why, look, again, coming on, we're going to be probably on a fair amount of the days for the rest of the week. It just depends. But this is a very active weather pattern here. If you had been tuning in to kind of the overall pattern, we had a really weak frontal boundary, worked through Georgia and the Panhandle the last few days, and there were some pretty rowdy storms. Now, it's in a much weakened state, and more than anything, there's just a lot of lift in the atmosphere right now, but that weak boundary is going to basically be kind of quasi-stationary over our area. Now, if it drifts far enough south, we might actually get a little bit of drier air, and there could be a day or two where we don't have a lot, but between now and at least Saturday or Sunday, I expect this to be a very active weather pattern. I expect these storms to develop in the same manner that they did today, meaning they're going to get going as early as the mid to late morning in the western part of the state on the west coast, and generally work their way west to east, because that's the mid and upper level wind pattern, is to push these storms. Now, this is, again, not your typical August sea breeze pattern. This is a lot more upper level dynamics associated with it. So we're not going to see the typical storms waiting until 3, 4 o'clock to get going. These should be earlier in the day overall. Main threat should be some winds with these, but this is, instead of just being like, oh, okay, you know, we'll just see how the sea breeze pattern plays out and where the collisions are every afternoon. This is much more of an organized, more of a easier to time scenario here because of the dynamics that are in play. So this is going to be a pretty active pattern for us. Storms will be on the stronger side each and every afternoon. More than likely, they'll be a little bit more intense the farther east that you go, because the later in the day that these move into an area, a little bit more heat, right? A little bit more warmth, warming up the ground a little bit. Again, Port St. John, Titusville right now has a temperature of 97 degrees. Didn't get that warm out west because the storms developed earlier. So just as much, not as much instability, but still a healthy amount. And this west to east motion should continue. So boating interest along our east coast. And just if you have any outdoor plans right on through the weekend, some of this activity could develop a little bit earlier than what you would expect in August. It's just a different pattern than what we typically see. So let's get back into it. We'll start off here. Flagler County is relatively quiet. Few showers and storms in northern Volusia, Ormond Beach, Daytona Beach, Port Orange. Again, everything moving west to east. The special weather statement still in effect until 2:15 for a big chunk of Central Florida. Now, the farther west that you go, it's beginning to calm down a bit more, which is good news. Obviously, it's on the extreme eastern side of this current special weather statement that we have the rowdiest storms, and the new extended special weather statement until 2:30 for a good chunk of Brevard County, which picks up on the fast forward speed of this particular area. So Oak Hill south, again, the triangle icon is our hail core potential. All the movements, again, east to northeast. Mims starting to get hit pretty hard. Titusville, Indian River City, Port St. John. So up and down the I-95 corridor in Brevard County. Down towards Sharps, Cocoa, Rockledge, Merritt Island. These cells have tracked a little bit farther to the west, but they're still going to come through. Notice the new special weather statement now goes as far south in Brevard County as Vieira, Pineda, Suntree, towards Palm Shores and Satellite Beach. Does not include Seattle. Also doesn't include Indian Harbor Beach or June Park, Melbourne area, Palm Bay, but that doesn't mean that they could extend a little bit farther to the south. These areas are a little bit more detached, and you notice that this is a lot stronger. Also, when we see a segment of this line extend out a little bit more, we call that a bow echo. They're not extremely prominent within this line, but just to kind of give you a little knowledge that typically on the apexes of this velocity product does want to pop up. We'll see. Again, I think the radar is having a little bit of issues. It's not my system. Anyway, along the apexes of those bows, you'd have the strongest winds. The winds are actually rushing out ahead in pushing that portion of the storm out a little bit farther. Again, we looked at the Tampa radar, so it's not an issue with the system being able to pull in the data. I think it's just the data itself. But if you live in these areas, it's coming. Let's put this into motion. Take off those cells. So this is the evolution over the last 30 minutes, guys. Again, they're lining up here. So Brevard County is going to get hit good. Satellite Beach North, going to get hit good. That includes Titusville and the Cape and Cocoa Merritt Island, all going to get slammed pretty darn good. This cell is trying to drift a little bit closer to the Polk County I-4 corridor area in Polk County. Few cells up in northern sides of Volusia. Again, we'll track the winds out of these. Strongest I've seen so far today is Sanford at 46. Could somewhere in Brevard County beat that? Absolutely. It's a possibility. How's everyone doing today, by the way? Love to hear from you guys. Let me know how your Tuesday is going. By the way, if you look at the bottom of your screen, that is live updated information from various cities across the area. Or are we staying on Brooksville? We might have to work on that, actually. If we got hung up on Brooksville, we'll effort to work that. So I apologize. For the first time, I actually just looked down there myself. I've been so busy with everything, but we have a script that runs those, and obviously there might be a little bit of a hiccup in that. Check our cameras out. The storm that's moving towards Lake Buena Vista and the attractions area is fading a bit. Still should bring some rain. I'll monitor the possibility of any more lightning back over the Magic Kingdom and Epcot and Universal, and iDrive in general. You can see there's a couple of drops of rain if you look kind of in the foreground there, but nothing spectacular. This is Conway area. And again, this is kind of just southeast of downtown Orlando. And remember, downtown Orlando had a 44-mile-an-hour wind, and then MCO, OIA, Orlando International, however you want to call it, had a 41. Never saw the wind pick up here in Conway. But again, it's another shot, a couple of live cameras to show you guys, and then we're going to be efforting to bring you even more live cameras across Central Florida, because obviously, being a live-only channel, we want to be able to bring you guys some of those live looks. So the story right now, as we approach 2 o'clock, is that this line is moving fast, but it's also intensifying. And so there's going to be some pretty nasty weather into Brevard County. So Oak Hill, which is in southern Volusia, is getting hit pretty hard right now. You can see that the lightning counts are going up pretty significantly in most spots, all right? The weather will begin to improve in interior sections of Volusia County through Citadel and Orange counties. Still, there's going to be some rain moving back in from downtown Orlando, south and west, across Bay Hill and the 429, Winter Garden, Hamlin area, down towards Lake Buena Vista. And then this cell is a very nasty one with a lot of lightning and some potential hail moving into the northwest sides of Polk County. But that's a nice line of storms that is trying to situate itself and move into Brevard County here over the next half hour. So that's the special weather statement that goes right now until 2:30. Big perspective. Back in here. Special marine warning is going to be until 3:30. So 2:30 on the special weather statement, Brevard County, 3:30 for the special marine warning, which again goes out 60 nautical miles. Now, technically downtown Orlando and Sanford and Oviedo, places like that, are under the special weather statement still, but it's really just the extreme far east side. Okay. Still some breezy conditions though. You know, the Executive Airport, not that long ago, still had a 27-mile-an-hour wind. As far as any redevelopment, there could be some isolated redevelopment to our south and west, or excuse me, to our north and west. But again, this is a pattern that's going to be sticking around. And real quickly, I think this is the easiest way to do it. So give me just 1 second here, guys. Just to show you what I mean by this. I'm going to bring up our HRRR model. This is the high resolution rapid refresh. It's a very high resolution model. It updates hourly, okay? And it only goes out 48 hours, but that's good enough. It's gonna let this loop up. Of course, today is the 19th, right? No, today's the 20th. Tell you what, I lose track of my days so much now. I'm assuming it's Tuesday, but you could probably convince me otherwise. I just want you to notice here as this does loop up, and let me bring on the model time stamp too, that we're into an active pattern with this old frontal boundary here. So this is actually 8 o'clock tonight. So let me back this up even a little bit more. Let's go to now. Now that model is a couple hours old. It should actually refresh in real time. But you get the idea of what we're looking at. So on the HRRR model, again, could there be a little bit of redevelopment tonight, but not even special weather statements? Yes, just a little bit more rain, an isolated stroke of lightning, sure. Then we see more storms. Now, I mentioned that we might be into a scenario where we have a little bit drier air north, but even then, notice that the HRRR model, let me back this back up here, guys. Notice that the HRRR model, again, this is 9 tomorrow morning and 10, and there's already some storms trying to develop over Polk County, and then a stronger line a little bit farther south tomorrow, but eventually it tries to get back up to I-4. So we'll see if the HRRR is correct. It has the earlier activity south of our viewing area here at Central Florida Weather Live, but it also picks up on some more intense cells moving back into Metro Orlando and even trying to get back into portions of the Tampa Bay area as well. And all the movement is back off towards the east. So it could be more rowdy storms tomorrow. If they're more isolated like that, they would probably be a little bit stronger. And then as we get into Thursday morning, again, this is 7 a.m., right? Completely different pattern than what we normally see. That instability draped maybe over I-4. And it could be a wet drive already for I-4 back towards Tampa on Thursday morning. And this is where the model ends, but you get the idea. It's not a typical sea breeze summer pattern over the next several days, potentially even into the weekend. Storms will be pretty prolific as far as the number, and just a completely different pattern than what we typically see. So right now, this is going gangbusters over Oak Hill and portions of northern Brevard counties. We're seeing lightning strike counts, 345. Again, that is in a 15-minute time frame. Mims, Titusville, Indian River City, all getting hit hard. Special weather statement for the next 30 minutes. Now, they've only got winds of 40, and that's something we'll continue to track here. I'll bring back on those surface observations. Right now, still no wind gusts being reported, but we'll see. But I-95, Mims, Titusville, Indian River City, Port St. John, Sharps, Cocoa, Rockledge, pretty nasty weather. A little bit of a break in the action. Holopal getting a little bit of rain in Osceola County. And that's all going to be working its way back off towards the east. So some of this will try and fill in to the southern sides of our special weather statement, Merritt Island, Vieira, Suntree, Satellite Beach. We'll see what the Weather Service wants to do with this storm. It hasn't moved much. It's trying to get back down towards the I-4 corridor in northwest Polk County. But again, this cell appeared to be producing some hail. Now, it might have been very small pea size, and that was what the special weather statement was for, but there could have also been a fair amount of it. And we are seeing a few more storms developing at the hour back into Brandon and Bloomingdale and Mingo and Temple Terrace and the Seffner areas, East Lake, Egypt Lake Lido, Town and Country, across the bridge there, Howard Franklin, Pinellas Park, St. Petersburg and the beach. Wind there at the St. Pete Airport, Municipal Airport, they're about 23 miles an hour. So not as rough here, but filling it in a little bit more as you get back into Hillsborough and portions of Pinellas counties as well. The northern extent of this has weakened significantly. So while there'll be a little bit more rain moving back into Metro Orlando, that is not going to be nearly as strong as what it was. So that's good news for the attractions, right? Still could be, there's a little bit of lightning right here, and that's still capable of reaching Lake Buena Vista. But as far as really being concerned about that causing any big issues, not as concerned now. Should be okay. This is a non-strong storm, but still a storm nonetheless, moving into Ormond Beach and Holly Hill. And again, any beachgoers want to be aware of that one. Lightning contained with that. You can see those cores there, about 15 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes. But by far, it's very far southern Volusia and a lot of Brevard County. Cape Canaveral, not good for the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. Going to be some pretty rough weather there over the Banana and Indian Rivers. Central and southern sides of Merritt Island, Rockledge especially, and then north, Port St. John, Indian River City. See if the velocity is back here yet. There we go. A little bit of wind there over Indian River City. 21-mile-an-hour wind being reported out of the radar site there, out of Melbourne. I don't see anything too crazy, though. We'll see. Sometimes embedded within this, the radar, especially because it's so close to some of these storms, has a little bit harder time picking up on it. It's just a little bit more congested. You can kind of see that. See if the hail product is back working here. Yep, it is. And I mentioned that it looked like there could be a little bit of hail close to Mims, north and east towards Oak Hill. But again, hopefully in a fairly low populated area. Now, I don't think we're going to get the hail size to what my radar is trying to pick up on, because again, it could be a little bit corrupted and it just moved off too. So that's good as well, unless we just lost that product, which we might have. Again, I think the data feed out of the Weather Service radar is not fantastic right now. There we go. So now here's your new winds. 32-mile-an-hour wind there just east of Titusville. So there's your ground truth reports. 32 out of KTTS, Titusville area, down towards Port St. John, KTIX, two different reporting stations. We've got ourselves a 29. Not as strong as the 46 in Sanford, but still a healthy storm moving through the northern sides of Brevard County. This will cross Merritt Island and the Cape in about the next 10 to 15 minutes. Everything moving off towards the east right now, guys, at about 20 to 25 miles an hour. Looks like it's picked up a little bit of forward speed. Again, there's your hail algorithm right there. And again, the forward speed, you know, the Weather Service is going about 25, I believe, as the last report, but my computer's picking up just a little bit more than that right now. Let's get that latest special weather statement. Yeah, they upped the speed to 30. So again, these storms are moving 30 miles an hour, so it's not hard for them to produce a 40-mile-an-hour wind. Even behind it, again, Sanford, half hour ago, still at a 35. That's an older report out of MCO of the 41. We'll see what the Tampa Weather Service wants to do with that storm in northwest Polk County, whether they want to extend the special weather statement. But you can see now a lot of that activity on the north side has moved into the coastal waters. And again, special marine warning goes all the way until 3:30 for these storms with the lightning impacts and the winds that could potentially be over 34 knots. And again, 32-mile-an-hour gust east of Titusville, 30-mile-an-hour gust just south of Titusville. That special weather statement goes until 2:30. Mainly winds of 40. This has begun to dry out a little bit, so we're looking pretty good in the Orlando area right now. Daytona Beach, getting a decent storm. A little bit of lightning with that. Let's see if Daytona Beach itself has any lightning. Not really, just one lightning strike. They're inland towards 92 LPGA Boulevard area at a 21. It's a fresh breeze, nothing too crazy though, Holly Hill. Rain's going to be a little bit more intense over Ormond Beach. Another heavier cell south towards Port Orange. So like, you know, Port Orange and Wilbur by the Sea, even down towards Ponce Inlet, it's going to be a little bit heavier rain and storms there. But again, technically not under that special weather statement. Then what's interesting is there is a break. Ponce Inlet south right now, New Smyrna, Edgewater, and then it picks back up again Oak Hill and into Brevard County. That's a really heavy cell right there. That's probably a little bit of hail. But again, it's basically nowhere northern Brevard County. Same situation here. Nice little appendage that's come out. Probably some stronger winds there over the Merritt Island, and that could be impacting some areas of the Cape. Obviously here, you're looking at your launch complexes. That's what all of these are. So some stronger winds going over the launch complexes there at the Cape. Give me just 1 second, guys. Jay was talking about there's no tornado watch. Give me 1 second here, guys. Jay, I'm trying to strong wind watch, yes. There's no actual tornado watch, Jay, for any area here in Florida. Again, winds will be straight line. It's a concern. When they come off of the coastal waters, there could certainly be a little bit of a spin up and a water spout, but these are straight line winds, so it is just kind of straight line wind opportunities here. As far as any actual tornado situation, not expecting it. I have my tornado watches and warnings on, and again, we don't have any of that here in Florida, okay? That doesn't mean there won't be some localized stronger storms, and that's the story. That could kick up some winds, and again, along the coastline, could it spin up a water spout? It's a possibility. And again, these winds here more than likely will peak a little bit more in Brevard County. But this special weather statement is going to be allowed to go away. So it is going to be I-95 and then just east of there, US 1 A1A, far southern sides of Volusia County and through central and northern sides of Brevard County. Even the cells back down here right now towards Harmony and Holopole have dissipated a bit. So Merritt Island, the far southern side of Merritt Island, Vieira, Pineda, Suntree will get some rain, but not going to be as intense as up north. It's Cocoa, Sharps, Port St. John, Titusville. Those are the areas that are going to be most impacted. Then we have this special weather statement which this cell looks to have lost a bit of its intensity. Notice that the lightning count has really come down, okay? It's not producing any hail anymore. So I would not expect this special weather statement to fire back up. But south of there, we continue to build south, and now a little bit stronger storms are moving back into Plant City and Dover and Brandon and Bloomingdale and the Mango area, Seffner, Valrico, places like that, all could be a little bit more impacted with some stronger storms. And even this one is pinging on the potential for some small hail, but I don't see it. And the winds, again, have freshened up through Hillsborough and Pinellas counties as well. Now we're picking up 30-mile-an-hour winds in a lot of spots. But just some good downpours out of that, and not even a ton of lightning. Let's check our camera again. You can see the darker clouds there on the horizon out of the Lake Buena Vista Walt Disney World area. Again, it could be a little bit more rain, but the news is better for this area, as that next line of storms that's going to be coming in is a little bit less intense right now. There's still some heavier rain over 27 in far southern sides of Lake County, but it's more prominent the farther south that you go. And there's not a lot of lightning associated with it right now. So looking better, but you can see the darker sky over that area. And again, we're looking okay over Conway. This has been a very common view over downtown Orlando area. We're having a little bit of rain, but we haven't picked up a lot of wind over Conway, even though some areas of the metro Orlando area have gotten over 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So back out to the camera here, or back out to the radar, we'll go out to the wide shot. Again, right now, if you're just tuning in, we have a pattern in place where we're going to get storms to get going earlier in the day. So they're going to be tracking from west to east, and this is just not your typical sea breeze pattern. There's a lot of upper level influence here, a weak frontal boundary that came in, and there's just a lot of lift in the atmosphere and instability. And these storms will get going earlier in the day, and they're just not going to be waiting for those sea breeze collisions, in the late afternoon that we typically see in August. So if you have outdoor plans through the weekend, you should at least anticipate the opportunity that these storms will be developing earlier and impacting you earlier, okay? They do have some nice forward speed, and I do expect them to all, basically throughout the entire time, move from west to east, okay? That's the upper level and mid-level wind pattern that's situated over Central Florida. So earlier in the morning, and I'm talking about even as early as mid-morning, or even at least some lighter rain right around daybreak out in our western areas, we'll see those begin to just develop and bubble up and work their way from west to east. Obviously, when we get a little bit more heat of the day in the areas farther east, right, we just see things warm up at the surface a little bit more. It's just a little bit more fuel to the fire to make these storms more intense. So a general pattern also will be, as these storms track east, they'll pick up in intensity. And you can really see that right now. Look at this storm. I mean, if this was in a more populated area, this would be a big issue. But that is a storm that has picked up over 500 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes. That is a heck of a storm, guys, moving off the coastal waters of far northern Brevard and southern Volusia counties. Look at all that lightning. Again, you do not want to be playing with that on a boat. I hope everyone is off of the water here. Hail probabilities up. Just make sure that there's no rotation within that. There's a little bit. You can see the reds and the greens, but again, I've already mentioned it several times. You kind of get inherent rotation with the friction difference with a storm coming off of land and onto water, and vice versa, as storms come in from water to land, and especially, of course, with landfalling tropical systems, because obviously they're spinning around a center and they have inherent rotation with it. Now, there's not as much inherent rotation here, but we do have reds and greens close to each other. So this would probably be very low cloud, maybe what we call a roll cloud, meaning it's kind of spinning at the base, but in a horizontal sense, not in a vertical sense. is kind of spinning like this. That's why it's kind of an elongated area. I call them SLCs, scary looking clouds. Could there be a brief funnel? Absolutely. Mainly offshore and away from land? Yes, more than likely. Not strongest of winds, but that is just a very, very rowdy storm. Glad it's moving offshore, but at the same point in time, I hope everyone who was doing some boating in the nearshore waters has found safe harbor, because that one's tough. I've been out on a boat a couple of times with lightning like this or something near this, and it is not fun, man. It is unpleasant to be exposed like that. You just don't want to be exposed. So right now, the most active weather is in Brevard County. Still some storms kind of beginning to get a little bit stronger, but nothing of major consequence. Ormond Beach, Holly Hill, Daytona Beach, South Daytona, Port Orange. Still a bit of lightning here. I need to zoom in a little bit more so we take away those strikes from that core, but just a few lightning strikes. Again, beachgoers just need to be aware of it, right? Let this pass you by. It should be a lot quieter. A little shower near Pearson right now, but again, there's a huge break. And more than likely, we're not going to have significant redevelopment, okay? So let this pass you by and you'll be okay. Apologies for that. Probably a good time just to reset the shot. Again, they did not reissue the special weather statement with this storm in northwest Polk County, but still a lot of lightning associated with that. Not the few hundred lightning strikes of a half hour ago, no hail anymore either, but some very heavy rain and thunderstorm activity, Polk City, back down towards Plant City. This cell is picking up in the Brandon area, just to the southeast of Seffner, southwest of Dover. Could there be some pea-sized hail with this? Yes. Yeah, let me bring back on the winds. These are your wind gusts, not sustained. And we'll see if these pick up even a little bit more. I don't know. That is just a really rowdy storm. Look at all that lightning coming offshore right now. Again, if you live in these areas, just sit tight for the next 15, 30 minutes. They'll push off towards the east. They are still moving east at around 30, but obviously it's going to get pretty rough for the Kennedy Center Visitor Complex there. Coquelin, Rockledge, heavier rain, Merritt Island, Vieira. And then this does fall apart. The rain that was back down towards 192 in Harmony and Holopal has begun to diminish. Still 25 mile an hour wind gusts at the Melbourne reporting station, 21 in Sebastian. And again, you pick this back up south of here, and there's a lot more activity. This is going to be a very active weather pattern for Central and South Florida for the next several days, potentially even into the weekend. Now, again, there will be days that there will be more activity than others, dependent on the amount of dry air that's over our heads. But this is just an unusual pattern for August. We're not going to see the typical wait to the late afternoon, get up to 95 degrees, see the sea breeze storm collision, and track that, right? This is going to be a more progressive pattern, but much more earlier in the day. Storms moving west to east. Again, a lot of upper level instability. We're going to get some heat building in. It was 97 degrees today down there towards Port St. John. 97 before the storms moved in. And again, this lightning is absolutely intense right now. Oak Hill, northern sides of Brevard County. Again, friends, if you're here, if you want to do me a quick favor and just hit the like button on this live stream, really helps support the channel. Appreciate you guys tuning in as well. Again, here at Central Florida Weather Live, it's a live-only channel. Basically, when there's some active weather to talk about, I'll jump on and we'll cover it for you, depending on how long it takes to clear our area and depending what the situation is, because that's the interesting thing about living in Central Florida or having interest in weather in Central Florida, isn't it? Things change every day. It's something new every day. And again, we're not in our typical sea breeze pattern right now, thanks to a very weak boundary that has drifted into our area with more kind of instability and more support at the mid and the upper levels of the atmosphere than what we would typically see. And that's why this pattern has evolved much earlier in the day as well. So again, jumping on here to cover this. Now, the majority of the worst weather is in Brevard County right now. And those are the areas that will continue to be influenced by this. Special weather statement goes until 2:30, but potentially they might extend it. We'll see. Kind of the last gasp of some of that really rough weather may not completely exit the area. And again, my time is off here, so I apologize. The bottom of your screen is correct, but that is slightly incorrect. So let me just pull that off. Still the correct time of day though. But it is 2:24. I think the issue is it's a bit of a data feed issue right now coming in from some of the radars. But this is live because we can actually see the radar here. And I can actually look at this real quick too. Yeah. Go back here. Back on the live sweep. Let's jump over to you can see these storms now beginning to work their way off east. So that special weather statement goes until for 4 minutes. But look at from the Tampa radar. Look at those lightning strikes. Look at that hail. So that's a really intense core that pushed off of northern Brevard County. Again, absolutely hammering the water right now. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near that thing, man. So the worst weather moving through Titusville, Indian River City, Port St. John at the hour, Cocoa. Bring back on our wind gusts. Still haven't gotten a stronger wind there, but Merritt Island, the Cape, Sharps, right through, of course, all the launch complexes there. It is offshore of Oak Hill now. That's good news. That's a nasty storm over Daytona, South Daytona. Again, just don't want to be at the beach at the hour. Give it 15, 20 minutes and it'll move by. You still have to watch out for isolated redevelopment inland. That's what we're seeing right now on the southern sides of Flagler County. 32-mile-an-hour wind, by the way, in Ormond Beach. So as those cells went through, no special weather statement up there, but they did have a 32-mile-an-hour wind gust in Ormond Beach. Looking pretty good for our friends in Palm Coast. And again, bit of rain trying to get back towards Lake Buena Vista at the hour. Let's check that camera again. You can see the darker sky. And this is looking south and west, by the way. Darker sky, but nothing too prominent there, no wind. And then these cells have become a little bit stronger. So, excuse me, I'll be curious to see. More than likely, the Weather Service is not going to extend the special weather statement because we are starting to see the bulk of the activity move offshore. I mean, I don't know if they would want to make it another 15 minutes, but that would probably be the last gasp. Notice now that we do have a 39-mile-an-hour wind being reported out of that tower. So 39-mile-an-hour wind, and that was just 7 minutes ago. So as this storm blew through, it was at least producing some 40-mile-an-hour winds, but probably stronger than that when you actually got to the core, which again is crazy to think about. Now we have nearly 700 lightning strikes in 15 minutes with this storm. Again, lightning is not a criteria for special weather statements or severe thunderstorm warnings, but you don't want to be playing with those kinds of storms. And if you've been watching me over the last hour and a half or so, how long have we been on? Hour and 40 minutes. These cells have generally gotten a little bit more intense the farther east that they've gotten. Now these storms are trying to ramp back up as well into Polk County. But this first cluster that came through, especially with the lightning counts, they just went up and up and up. Bring back on the composite radar. If you guys are just tuning in. All right, that thing's picked up. The bottom line is that the Melbourne radar is having some issues. Having some issues right now. Let's take a look at the evolution of these storms over the last 2 hours. And again, this is going to be a pattern that I expect to see a good portion of the week. So I'll be monitoring the situation, but these storms could get going late morning in the western zones, probably not be as significant, but again, right around the lunchtime hour, close to I-4 in areas east. Now, there's an opportunity that we catch a drier day or two, a little bit of drier air coming into play, and this is a quasi-stationary boundary. It's going to be shifting around. If I bring on the fronts here, it's not the best product, but this is kind of what you see. Again, there's kind of a trough and then this quasi-stationary boundary. And that's what those lines depict, okay? And it's gonna be bobbling north and south the next several days. So if it goes south of us, we get a little bit drier air. Could be a little bit drier overall. If it lifts back north, the moisture gets pulled back along with it. So I think we're going to be bobbling back and forth, but overall a pretty active pattern with high rain and storm chances. Is it a exceptionally severe pattern that I expect? No. Could we have a few severe thunderstorm warnings over the next several days? Yes, we were close today. The Weather Service had a 50-mile-an-hour special weather statement, okay? 60 is the criteria for a severe thunderstorm warning. So it was close. It was close. We didn't get there, but it was close. And it does look like they have allowed the special weather statement to end here, expire on time at 2:30 in Brevard County. Because now we're looking at that really nasty storm going offshore. For the next 5 to 10 minutes, it is still going to be rough east of Mims, Titusville, Indian River City, Port St. John, Merritt Island will be significantly impacted for at least the next 10 to 15. Same thing for Cape Canaveral, where they now have a 31-mile-an-hour wind. And again, this does fade relatively quickly back down towards Cocoa Beach. Still just a little bit of lightning just west of Lake Buena Vista. Again, always concerned about this area because we know, right? We know there are folks outdoors at all times of the day across Lake Buena Vista in the attractions area, right? So we always know that there's outdoor interests in those spots. And there's just a little bit of lightning there at 429. Just a little bit. Not too significant though. And this cell over Polk City, again, is relatively strong. So now we have the special marine warning, which is still in effect. It goes until 3:30. And again, I really hope all of our boating friends got the alerts and they found safe harbor, because that's some rough storms right there. A couple of showers and storms could redevelop. Let me show you guys this real quick if you're just tuning in. Give you guys an idea of how this might play out over the next couple of days. Switch back over to the model time frame. Going to bring back up the HRRR model. So the HRRR model is the high resolution rapid reflectivity model. It actually updates every hour. It only goes out 48 hours in the extended version, if you will. And there's even one that's, I believe, 12 or 15 hours. But I just wanted to show you guys, again, the overall pattern that we're going to be in. And Central and South Florida is going to be very active the remainder of the week. Now, again, this model will only take us out until Thursday morning at this point in time. But a couple of notes. First of all, again, for the remainder of today, Could there be a redevelopment of a shower or storm into the early evening hours across I-4, across Central Florida in general, maybe even up towards Palm Coast? Yes. Would I expect it to be significant? No. Okay. Then we'll be quiet overnight. But as we get into tomorrow morning, look, this is 8 a.m. and we're already seeing some showers develop in Sarasota County. And those, again, it just really depends. Is there dry air in places or not? Right now, the HRRR model thinks the moisture pool is going to be south of our area, at least to begin. But look what happens late in the day. It tries to develop some of the storms and brace them up the I-4 corridor. And if they're a little bit more isolated tomorrow, they could be even stronger. So this is nearly 5 o'clock tomorrow. And if, again, we don't get a storm in Orlando till 3, 4, 5 o'clock, now our surface temperatures have warmed up a bit more, and that's just more instability, more fuel to the fire for a pattern which is going to promote quick development. We're going to have a lot of lifting air with that upper level divergence and those winds aloft moving from west to east. All right. So it's all inherent to provide additional storms. And then again, overnight into Thursday morning, look, this is again 6, 7, 8 in the morning. This is 8 a.m. on Thursday, and look at all the activity that's already out there. Now, this wouldn't be significant, but it's certainly going to be a lot wetter than what we would typically see in August, and the pattern of those just sea breeze storms in the afternoon, you throw that out the window the rest of the week. We're just not in that pattern. It's just a completely different setup. So please keep that in mind. So there's the opportunity that depending on how the weather plays out, I could see you guys every day, or we'll just see how it goes, and potentially even earlier, just like we had this afternoon, okay? But things are much quieter now, which is good. Again, just to kind of reiterate right now, storms pushing off of the Brevard County coastline, Volusia County as well. Still could see some rain and storms far southwest Orange, portions of Osceola, back into Polk counties, but right now there's no special weather statements and the opportunity for a few more showers and storms to redevelop as we get into the remainder of the afternoon hours, but again, not as consequential. So friends, going to wrap up this live stream here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much for that. As we leave, if you wouldn't mind doing me a big favor, click the like button to this live stream. It really helps the channel out. It gets more eyes on us. The YouTube algorithm actually recommends this channel to more people. If you haven't subscribed to Central Florida Weather Live, and again, you want these live updates, this is a live only channel. When weather's happening, those are the only times I'll be on. I appreciate you guys hitting that subscribe button for me right now. Thank you so much. Sherry, I appreciate it. Appreciate you very much as well. And again, have the notifications on because that way you'll get a notification on your phone, your tablet, wherever you watch from to let you know when I am live. And again, you're not going to get a lot of notifications. You're not going to get spammed here because you're only getting a notification when I go live. And so, you know, want to check in, want to make sure things are okay in your area, or if there's some active weather you want to monitor, you'll know exactly when I'm live. So again, appreciate you all's support. Thank you very much. You guys have a great rest of your Tuesday. Take myself off camera just in case this button doesn't work, but hopefully it will. And I will see you soon whenever the weather is active again right here at Central Florida Weather Live. Have a good one, friends.